Welcome to the Boxing Heist podcast. Today, I am joined by our first guest, Otto Wallin. How you doing, Otto?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. You've been up too much today?
Not too much. I've been to the gym and now I just had lunch and now we're here.
Very good, very good. So today's podcast, I kind of just wanted to allow the boxing community and the Boxing Heist fan base to kind of learn more about you and kind of your journey from like the start of your boxing career to where you are today.
Yeah, so I'm from Sweden. I grew up in a small town called Sundsvall. It has about 100,000 people. And I started boxing there when I was 15. My father used to box a little bit and then he was a trainer. And then one of my older brothers, he was boxing also. So then when I was 15, I tried it out and I just really fell in love with it right away.
I see. So, what kind of made you start wanting to box originally? Was it mainly that your father and brother were boxing, or is there kind of other motivations you had?
I think that was a big part of it because we would always, we would mess around a lot at home and, you know, I have two older brothers, so we would fight a little bit and stuff. And my father would train me a little bit just for fun and my brother too. So I felt like boxing was always there. And I was playing ice hockey and soccer before. And then when I started high school, my parents would let me start boxing because they told me you can start boxing when you start high school, if I remember right. So that's what I did. I started when I started high school, and yeah, I just liked it.
Ah, nice. Yeah, a lot of people's parents are quite strict on starting boxing, aren't they? Like, they have to wait to a certain age, but some are completely different, where they let their kids like box them like 5 or 6.
Yeah. Everyone's different, and I think my mom was calling the shots. My father, I don't think he had much to say.
Yeah, that's always how it is, isn't it? How
Yeah.
did your dad and brother like get on in boxing? What kind of divisions were they in? Did they kind of have fights, or were they just kind of doing it more as a hobby?
Yeah, I think my father, he was, he was fighting around 70 kilos. I don't know which weight class that is, but
Mhm.
super middleweight maybe. He was an amateur. He had, I think, like 25 fights or something. My brother, he had pretty much the same. But then when he got a little older, he started with Muay Thai boxing,
Mhm.
and he went over to that, and he was Swedish champion, and he did really well. He went to Thailand and had a silver medal at the World Championship. So he was pretty good on that in Muay Thai.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive that he still managed to find success
Yeah.
in a different fighting sport as well. Now you're both at a top level in your sports. Does he still compete at all, or?
No, he doesn't compete now. Um, he stopped a few years back, but I think he had a lot of success in Thai boxing because he had good boxing
Yeah,
actually.
makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah, same skills transferring over. I saw that professional boxing was banned in Sweden up until like 2007. What was it like before that in terms of like trying to find sparring partners and in terms of like thinking about where your career can go next, like whether you just stay in Sweden, move to another country? What was that like?
I started in 2006,
Mhm.
so that was a year before. But yeah, professional boxing wasn't allowed, and so I guess that's been holding boxing back a little bit in Sweden. That it was forbidden for such a long time, and I think that when I started boxing, I didn't think much about being pro. I just wanted to win my next fight and stuff like that, and then professional boxing got allowed, but we could only fight for 4 rounds up
Oh,
until I think
really?
it was 2015. Yeah, up until 2015 or something. Then we had longer fights. So
Uh,
yeah, I turned pro in 2013, and then I went to Germany first, and then from there I went to Denmark, and I was based out there for about 4 years. And yeah, and then I had like maybe 2 3 fights in Sweden also before coming to America. So
I
so
see.
having those fights in Sweden was really nice, especially after boxing being forbidden. It's like a dream come true to fight at
Yeah,
home.
Yeah, I presume you like had a lot of local supporters as well, and you were kind of like a big name in Swedish boxing.
Yeah, it was great. Especially I had, all my friends, family, and they would, if I would fight in another town, they would come with a big bus and stuff. So it was a lot of fun. And then I had two fights in my hometown also. That was great. And all my family, friends, and everything, all the fans was there, and it was great.
Yeah, I bet that really like builds the atmosphere and feels a lot better to fight when the environment's like with your like friends where you grew up with, I guess, not just like friends you met, like say like you have in America now, but like your friends at the start of your journey as well.
Yeah.
So do you know why boxing like was banned in Sweden? Why were they like so strict on it? Like only fighting 4 rounds? Is there like specific reason for it?
Uh, I think that it was. I mean, it got forbidden. I think there was maybe an action on something. I'm not sure because it was banned in the '70s. So I don't really know the backstory, but probably because of the risks with boxing, I would think. And then when they
Yeah.
started 4 rounds, when they started 4 round fights, I mean, doesn't really make sense to me. I don't know why they did that. So I haven't been able to do much research on it, to be honest. But I mean, this is boxing, and people box because they like it, and it's not like we're forced to do it. And I mean, I hope nobody's forced to box. I mean, I'm fighting because I
Yeah.
like it and I want to do it, and boxing has been great for me. So I think that boxing should be allowed, and we are aware of the risks, and we train for it, we prepare for it. And for somebody that doesn't box, it might look very hard, and it is hard, but we know what we do when we step into the rings, and what are the risks. We know the risks, and some people that are not into boxing, never watched a boxing fight, it might look really, really harsh for them.
Yeah, definitely can look brutal, especially also when people don't really know a lot about MMA as well, and they see that and realize how brutal that can be without watching it as well.
Yeah, but funny thing is that MMA fights was allowed in Sweden when boxing wasn't.
Oh, really? That just doesn't make
Yeah,
sense, to be fair.
no, no.
It's great. So you obviously started. So you say in 2006, and you kept moving on, having fight after fight. So at what point did you kind of think like, I could make it in the boxing game. Like I could contend for world titles. Like I could be a pro. What kind of set you off on that path? When did you kind of get that first thought?
I would say that it came to me pretty fast. That I had great support, especially from my father and my family, that they really believed in me. And then they told me that I could be something, and especially my father, he was very supportive, and telling me that, hey, you got to keep working and keep doing what you're doing, and you can really be something. So I think it was pretty fast, but it was probably more like a dream than anything.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I just kept moving on and kept training and fighting and just wanted to get better. And I mean, it's all like step by step. First I have my first amateur fights, I win that, and then move on, outside of the area where I live, and I win there and stuff like that. So I think it's all step by step. And yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
sure that it's just one point, one specific time that I can say, but I think it's all step by step.
Yeah, I definitely think a lot of people think in general in life, not just in boxing, that things just happen overnight. Whereas it's like taking one small step, and then after you've took that step, you kind of have a bigger goal that's a bit bigger than that step you just took, and you just keep like working up, and it kind of somehow happens, and you don't even know when.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I think that it's important to enjoy the journey also, not just look at, man, I gotta be champion, and when I get there, everything's gonna be great. But I hate my life now. You gotta enjoy your life during the process also. And so when you get to that stage, and it's gonna feel good, but you know, if you don't get there, you're still gonna be all right.
Yeah, definitely. Like a lot of people think it's always like about the end, getting the money, getting the world titles, but like
Yeah,
you said, the journey is kind of the most important and fun part. When you
Yeah,
look back at it, definitely when you're at the top, I bet if you look back at like some of your moments of training, like for your first fights, those kind of inspire you as well.
yeah, definitely. I think that's very important, and to be happy, because you hear a lot of people, once they reach that goal and they are famous and they have all the money in the world, then they're not feeling that well. Some of them.
Yeah, like
So
Tyson
it's
Fury,
important
for
that
example.
yeah, that's a good example.
Yeah, because he beat Vladimir Klitschko. That was his long time dream, and then he just went to depression, and you know it shows that it's not the most important thing. Getting to the top.
Yeah, no, no, I agree, and I mean that was great story for Tyson, and I'm happy that he's back and he seems to be doing better.
Yeah, definitely. Talking about like your progression, the natural like steps you took, obviously amateur fights, tournaments. What was your kind of first tournaments like? I know you fought Anthony Joshua in London in the tournament as well.
Yeah, that might have been my first fight abroad, actually. One of the
Okay.
first fights I had abroad. I think I went to Germany one time before that. I think I can't really recall. It's been a while, but I fought AJ. Maybe that was maybe like my 15th fight or something, and I think he had. I think he had about the same, because my father, he was there with me, and we became friendly with his trainer before that, and his trainer told my father, "Oh shit, are your son the guy that's gonna fight AJ?" And he said, "Yeah." And the trainer said, "Oh, I'm sorry. He has, I think he said, oh man, I'm sorry. He has 18 wins and 18 knockouts or something. So I'm sorry for your son, but you're good people."
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
What was it like kind of fighting Anthony Joshua? Obviously,
yeah.
you were at the same level, but when you fought him, did you kind of think, oh, this guy, could be a world champion one day, or did you just kind of think of him like as an opponent, like, oh, he's just average opponent? Because obviously he didn't, he started at like 18 as well, like later on in life. So what did you think of him then?
Yeah, I mean, I just remember coming out there to London. I think I had a fight the day before him, so I won that fight. And then there was this poster I guess, with AJ, and I saw him. There was a big guy, and I thought to myself, "Shit, this guy is big, but this is boxing." And that. Then we went up there. We had a great fight. He won a decision, but that's funny with the amateurs, because you never know who you fight and where things are gonna go. And I mean, I had no idea that he was gonna get to this level. Unified world champion. I had no idea at all. And it's funny with the amateurs when you see that, because I mean, even now, some people maybe would like to see us fight, but they had it for free over there, 10
Yeah,
years ago.
yeah, exactly. In London as well,
Yeah.
and in the hometown.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you meet any? Did you fight or
Yeah.
meet any other kind of boxers that you kind of see on the heavyweight scene now at all?
Oh, I fought a good Russian that went to the Olympics after. Uh, who else? It's just hard to bring it out. But I fought the British guy, Fraser Clark, I
Oh
think his
yes,
name
yeah.
is.
Mhm.
He's still amateur. Still amateur. Fought him. Fought. What did I fight? Joshua. Yeah, some good Russians. Yeah, I
Yeah, a
mean,
lot of
I
fights.
fought, I fought a couple of good guys. I gotta look. I gotta. Yeah, I mean, I gotta go back and look at it. It's been a while now.
Yeah. Did you because you ever said the Russian guy who went on to the Olympics, did you ever want to compete in the Olympics? Was that ever like a something you thought about, or did you kind of just want to turn pro?
No, the Olympics was my dream, really.
Okay.
I mean, I felt like being in Sweden with pretty much no professional boxing. You got to go to the Olympics, hope to do well, and then get a good contract. So that's what I really thought. And my end goal was going to the 2016 Olympics in Brazil, I think it
Mhm.
was. So, but then I moved on, and I earned my spot at the top in Sweden. So I started competing abroad, and I was lucky. I was lucky to get to the 2012 qualifications, but I lost the first round there against someone, Romanian guy. And then after, I decided to turn pro because I had been getting phone calls from Sauerland that I after signed with,
Mhm.
and so yeah, I mean that was my real goal. But I felt like when I lost that fight at the Olympic qualifications, I felt like, man, maybe it's time to turn pro now because I felt like that was where I was gonna give myself the chance to get as good as I can get because I would make money off of fighting. I would just be training. I didn't have to work, and I would have full time trainers and everything, and good sparring, which was very hard to come about where I was from, especially in the heavyweights.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I felt. I felt like turning pro is going to be the right decision because that's going to give me all the tools for me to really develop.
Yeah, definitely. I guess things happen for a reason as well. Sometimes, like if you made it further in the Olympics, you may have not, done as well in the pro division. I know a lot of like people who, do well, get medals in the Olympics, but then they turn pro and they don't succeed, in the pro game.
Yeah, exactly. I think that it was a blessing for me because my mind was really on the Olympics, and I pretty much wanted to go to the next Olympics in Brazil also, like I said. So I think that looking back at it, I think I made the right move to turn pro when I was 22 instead of turning pro when I'm 27. For some people it works, but I think that it was the right move for me. And I mean, if you want to be pro, you might as well start fighting pro when you get the chance.
Yeah, definitely. And it's
But but it's also it's important. Sorry, it's
sorry.
important to have a good team around you. And I had Sauerland, which was a really big promoter over there at the time, and I felt like they were gonna be able to do right by me, and they did. So that's really important. Also, you can't just turn pro, and it's gonna be hard. It's not easy, and especially not if you don't have the right people around you, it's gonna be even harder. So that's
Yeah.
important too.
Definitely, a lot of people just kind of want to turn pro and just sign any contract of any team just could be able to call themselves a pro boxer, and then obviously they realize that the
Yeah,
team's not up to scratch. They're not getting the right training and fights and that kind of thing. So definitely important to get the right team with you.
yeah. Some people think too that just because you turn pro you get rich, but
Yeah.
truth is that most professional boxers are broke, and I was broke for a long time also. So it's not that easy.
Yeah, they don't realize that you've got to pay your agent, you got to pay for the training camps, for the trainers, the
Yeah.
food and everything like that. And at the end, you don't really have that much left over, obviously, unless you're at a high level, which is what you aim for. I noticed that some of the sparring partners you had were like Adam Kovnatsky, Anthony Joshua. You had Jarrell Miller. Which ones of your sparring partners were kind of like the most skilled or like most powerful out of the ones you kind of sparred with?
So yeah, I spot a bunch of guys. Uh, but I would probably say that AJ's been the best one. I think so. I think he's the biggest puncher, but he's not just a puncher. He's got a lot of good tools. He's got pretty fast feet also and fast hands. So I would say that AJ is the best one.
Yeah.
That from the people I've sparred.
Okay. Fair enough. That's probably as expected since he is the heavyweight champion. So,
Yeah.
um, what is your pre-fight and like day before the fight and on the day of the fight? What's kind of your like routine? What do you do? Is there any like symbolic things you do, like listen to certain songs, eat certain meals? What's your routine?
Uh, yeah, I'm not that superstitious, so I'm just trying to live as normal as I can to not build too much pressure. It's enough pressure already with having to fight, but I think the food is very important. And before the fights, I trying to stock up on carbs because the carbs is what we use in the fight, and the other stuff is not so important when it gets that close to the fight. So the day before and the day off, I try to eat a lot of pasta, rice, a little bit of chicken, and a little bit of veggies, not too much. And for drink, I have orange juice. So just try to stock up on carbs as much as I can.
How did the Tyson Fury fight come about? Like, how was it arranged? Did it just randomly pop up on the table, the offer, and you kind of accepted it, or was there like talks before? How did that come about?
That was very unexpectedly. I was home in Sweden. I was gonna have a fight right before that, which was canceled on the day of the fight. So I went back to Sweden, and I was there, and yeah, then I got a message from my team saying that, hey, we got an offer to fight Tyson Fury in September. Are you up for it? So I was, and I responded that yes, of course. So, but I didn't make too much of it at the time because I felt like he's probably reaching out to everybody
Mm-hmm.
and just seeing who's up for it and not. And days went by, and I asked them, "Hey, any news?" And they said, "Yeah, things are progressing and looking better and better." So I guess for some reason they wanted to fight me, and I was surprised, but I was happy, of course. And yeah, you got locked in, and very unexpectedly, it just came out of nowhere.
That's weird. I guess sometimes things just happen like that, and it's totally unexpected.
Yeah. I had a tough year before that. I had three fights canceled, and the last one right up upon before that, and also my dad passed away before, so I'd had a rough year. But then finally that fight came about, and that was great. It was like it all was worth it almost. Not my father passing, of course,
Yeah, of course.
but still getting the fight. So everything turned around and got a little better.
Yeah, there's kind of like a blessing in disguise, I guess.
Yeah,
What was it?
yeah.
When you went into like the Tyson Fury fight, when it started getting closer towards it, and when you were actually fighting, did the feeling, was it kind of different when you were fighting Tyson Fury than other fighters? Did you kind of feel more pressure, or how did you feel?
I gotta say that I felt less pressure fighting him because I knew that nobody outside of me and my family and friends and my team thought that I was gonna have any chance. So I just felt like, hey man, I finally get this opportunity now that I've been working for my whole life pretty much, and it's finally here. So you just gotta enjoy it, and I have zero pressure. You just gotta go out there and make the best out of it. I think that I can beat him, and I'm gonna go for it. And so I didn't feel a lot of pressure, honestly. But of course, you're always nervous and stuff before that. You don't know what to expect and stepping into the ring. But I was very happy that I got to fight, and I wanted to prove people wrong and show them that I'm actually good and I belong at this level.
Yeah, you definitely did prove that. It was a great fight, and you cut his eye as well in the sixth round, I believe. When you did that, cut his eye, did you kind of have a different game plan? Did you kind of change your game plan, or did like your corner try and give you tips on like what you should try to do now that this cut has happened? Like what was going through your and your corner's mind?
Yeah. So the cut happened in the third round, I think it was. And I think that when that happened, I knew that I felt like I was only one punch away from them stopping it because it was a huge cut,
Yeah.
So I couldn't help but trying to hit that a lot and kind of zone in on it, which maybe worked in his favor a little bit because he has good movement and he's a smart fighter. So maybe I got off of my game plan a little bit when that happened because it was a huge cut and I just wanted it to hit it and to have them stop the fight.
Yeah, I guess that would be like the most obvious thing a lot of people would go for, obviously, since they expected the fight to get stopped. But somehow he managed to keep going and go to the end of the fight, which was great fight from both of you.
Yeah, yeah.
Your loss to Tyson Fury. Would you rather have not fought Tyson Fury, or are the things that you learn from fighting him more valuable than the actual loss itself? And if you did learn a lot from it, what kind of things did you learn?
No, I mean I would do it over again in a heartbeat. I think that that fight really turned my life and career around pretty much. I mean, I was making my way up there, but when you're coming up and you're a prospect, you really just need a big fight like that.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, I felt like I'm finally getting it now. Like I said, and now it's finally time to do something here. And since that fight, my stock went up a lot. So I got good offers after the fight, and we decided to go with Showtime. So I'm fighting for them now, fighting on their channel, and I've had 2 fights with them now, so that's great. And no, everything just turned out better for me after that fight, And I think that's important with boxing, that you can't be too scared of fighting big names, because don't be too afraid of losing, because I think it's about how you lose also. If you go in there, fight the best, and give one hell of a fight, nobody can be disappointed in that. But
Definitely.
at least you try it, and it's not like you go in there and just put on a stinker and lose. And just do as long as you do your best. Really, you can't really. It is what it is. If you win
Yeah,
or
I
lose.
mean, as long as all the fans are entertained and they think you did well, I mean, the loss doesn't really matter. But I do think in boxing, for some reason, people have this kind of stigma where they think that you've got to have like an undefeated record, which is quite strange. Like, what do you think of it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think that's a little bad for boxing. If you look at MMA, you have guys that's been fighting forever and has a lot of losses, but they're still at the top, and
Mm,
some even become champion after a long time. I think Michael Bisping, he must have had a few losses before he became champion, because I remember him like maybe 15 years ago when I was a kid and
yeah.
watching him, and then all of a sudden he's champion. I don't follow UFC much, but then I'll see, oh, Michael Bisping's a champion now. Man, it's been a while. So I think that's a good thing with MMA actually, and I think that a loss shouldn't mean too much for boxing either, and especially if you can put on a good show. I think that's what's most important.
Definitely. Like, for example, Manny Pacquiao, he never like kind of backed down from any of opponents really. And even if he lost, he still put on a great show that people loved. And nobody really says anything about his losses now, but they still compare him to Floyd, who's undefeated.
Yeah, exactly. And Pacquiao, he must have maybe 5, 6 losses. So
Yeah, exactly.
it's not the end of the world.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What do you see kind of like the biggest mistakes boxers make in boxing, whether it's like upcoming boxers or pro boxers, prospects?
I gotta say, one thing that I use is a psychologist. I've been using a sports psychologist since before I turned pro, and it's been great for me. He's taught me so much over the years, and he's become a really good friend of mine. And I mean, now he's back in Sweden, so I don't see him a lot. But sometimes I call him, and if I have a problem, I'll call him. But now he has grown into a really good friendship, really. And I think in the beginning he really worked on me and taught me a lot of stuff. But now we just like become friends, because it's been great. So I would say that's one thing that people shouldn't be afraid of using a psychologist, because even though if you don't have problems, it can only benefit you. I
Yeah,
feel like.
definitely. Like, talking to somebody about anything you've got on your mind, it can definitely make it much easier, and you might get a new insight of how you could look at things. So this next bit of the podcast, my microphone actually stopped working for some reason, and it's kind of really low quality. So I have kept it in some places where you can actually hear what I'm saying, but for most of the parts and the questions, I have put wording on the screen so you can understand what I'm asking. And don't worry, I did actually reply to all of Otto's questions, and I gave feedback on everything he was saying, but I couldn't include that in the video because you wouldn't just be able to understand what I'm saying. So a lot of the time it's just me asking a question, him answering, and then me asking another question without giving a response to his question. So yeah, enjoy the rest.
Yeah, it's a great thing.
So moving on to kind of back to the boxing in your career, what do you think is kind of your next opponent progression? Obviously, you fought Brazil in February. So who would you like to fight, or is there any kind of talks of any fights coming up for you?
My next fight, I'm not sure. I think that I'm gonna be fighting probably June, July, something like that. Opponents, I'm not sure yet. We haven't been able to discuss. I haven't been able to meet my trainer Joey yet. He's been working with Joe Ward, the Irish fighter. He had a fight last night, which he won, and I think Joey's coming back to New York now. So we're gonna start working and try to discuss the next steps. Brazil was a pretty good name, and Showtime, they have high standards. So I think there's probably gonna be somebody a little better than Brazil. So I think that's a lot of good guys out there, and a lot of good fights to be made for me. And I think that it's probably going to be a pretty
Yeah,
solid
I
name.
definitely think that after your Brazil fight and after your next opponent, I think you can only level up and you'll be in the fight in the really big names very, very soon if you keep progressing like you are. Like I could probably see like a Wilder or a Andy Ruiz potentially fighting in the future. Obviously, they've got to make a comeback soon, so that could be on the cards, I guess, for you. I don't know if that's something you thought about or would take on.
No, yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, I think that I'm close to that level. You know, just from fighting Brazil, he's only been beat by Wilder and Joshua. So, you know, I feel like I'm pretty high up there with those names, and yeah, I'm sure that I'm gonna get those fights pretty soon.
Definitely. What's it like to come from a small town in Sundsvall and be on the world heavyweight scene? So, do the locals support you, recognise you, or have you not been back in a while since you moved to USA?
No, I usually go back. I haven't been able to go back now since I've been here since October 2019 because of the pandemic. So I haven't been able to go back in 1.5 years now. But no, I got great support in my hometown, and you know, people really support me over there, and it's great. It's really good. I think that's one of the benefits with coming from a small town that, you know, they don't always have, you know, that many people to follow, and when they have somebody, they really back him up, and that's what they do with me, and I'm really happy about that, of course.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I had like lots of Swedish people ask about you to come on the podcast. So you've definitely got a lot of fans from Sweden.
Nice.
What I was going to say about Sweden is there anything you kind of did in Sweden training wise? Probably a stereotype, but have you done any weird and crazy things out there, like swimming in icy water to train for your boxing or any kind of stuff like that?
I mean, nowadays I don't do any crazy trainings, but you know, when we were kids, we would always be out playing in the snow, and even if it was really cold. I remember one time we played ice hockey, and it was almost 30 degrees below freezing, Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but
Celsius,
but that's really cold. That's okay. Yeah, that's really cold. And one of my friends, he lost a little piece of his big toe because he got frozen while we were playing.
Jesus, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy.
What's your favorite thing about Sweden? When you think back or when you go there, what do you like doing? What's your favorite thing about it?
I mean, my favorite thing about it with going back is, you know, my friends and family, really. But then where I'm from, there's a lot of nice nature. That's a big thing. And we have a lot of stuff. I miss the chocolate over there and stuff like that. The candy. I got a great candy store here in New York, though. That's a Swedish candy store that keeps me happy. So that's good. But I miss the candy and stuff.
What do you kind of eat when you're in camp? And do you have like a favorite meal or a cheat meal when you're out of camp?
So yeah, I usually eat pretty normal food. Like for example, now before this interview, I had some pasta, ground beef with a little pasta sauce, some veggies, and I pretty like a normal person, I would say. And when I have my cheat meals, I love burgers. New York pizza is really good. My favorite food is probably a really nice steak or sushi.
And the question is, who do you think is going to win, Fury or AJ, and why?
I think that's going to be a good fight. I think that, you know, these the two best heavyweights out there right now. So I'm happy that the fight is looking likely. And I think boxing needs it. And it's going to be great for boxing and great for the heavyweights also. So I think it's going to be a good fight. I think that Joshua is very dangerous. He's a big puncher. And Fury, you know, big guy, awkward. And he has great boxing skills. And he can be aggressive too. But I think that for me, Fury is going to be the favorite. I think that, you know, just being as tall as he is, long arms, and good defense, I think that that can get some give Joshua some problems. But like I said, Joshua is dangerous also. But the favorite for me is Fury.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely agree with that. Obviously, Fury's kind of a unique opponent in kind of his style and how he moves, and there's not a lot of people who I guess could replicate that kind of style that Joshua could like train on, I guess, as well.
Yes, I mean, yeah, you can't just find one guy that fights like him. So, what we did when I fought him, that we wanted to try to mix up the sparring partners. We had a lot of different guys, you know, some southpaw, some orthodox, and some, you know, big punchers, some not, some fast, and some big, some small, and let's try to mix it up so you can see everything, because he got a lot of tricks in his hat.
Yeah, definitely
When he sleep.
unexpected things.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how many hours do you train a day, and what are your kind of favorite drills and workouts that you do?
Yeah, so I would say that I train a couple times a day, 5 to 6 days a week, and probably 4 to 5 hours every day when it's the most training,
Okay.
when I'm training the most. And this morning, because Joey, he was in Puerto Rico with Joe Warden, I trained on my own. You know, went over there, did some shadow boxing, heavy bag work, double end bags, and mace ball and stuff, and then bike home to where I live. And now tonight I'm gonna go to the gym, do some cardio tonight. But I do a lot of weights also. So I think tomorrow I have weights, and then I do, you know, squat, bench press, different exercises, and some medicine ball stuff and throws and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a bunch of different stuff, but pretty basic, I would say.
I was saying that not a lot of people realize how many hours like pro boxers actually train. When they do like become a boxer, they don't realize that they actually can't play so much video games that they want. They have to actually go out there and train in the cold and put the hard work in.
Yeah, no, I mean, when you're fighting, there's nowhere to hide. And, you know, it's you and the other guy, and you really got to put in the work in training. It's not that easy. It's not just go up there and fight, because, you know, 12-round fights is very hard, and it takes a lot out of you. So you got to be really prepared, and you know, it's not just boxing skills. You gotta, you know, work your neck, your core, everything, and to be able to take a punch also. So it's a lot to go into it.
So I think those are pretty much all of the questions I had, and I had from the Q&A from the followers. So I think I don't have anything else really to say. I don't know if you have anything you want to share to the community, or you want to promote anything at all.
Yeah, I also want to say thanks to everybody that's supporting me. I get a lot of support from the UK and from Europe and pretty much everywhere. I get messages on Instagram, and most are good things, some are bad things, but I'm trying to stay with the positive stuff. So I'm really happy about that. So thank you very much, guys.